Hi, and welcome to Beyond Alt Text, Leveraging Emerging Media for Accessible Teaching Practices. This workshop and resources came from a year plus of work collaborating across different departments within the university in order to gather resources and share best practices and accessibility for the classroom. In the first half of this presentation, we will talk about what we did within our own department, and then we will provide tips and resources for how you can make your classroom a little more accessible today. My name is Erin Richardson. I'm the Director of Program Operations for the Master of Arts and Emerging Media program here at Loyola University, Maryland. I'm joined by Julie Sayo, who's a lecturer in the Communication Department, as well as Shelby Ehret, who's a recent graduate of the MA in Emerging Media program.
Instead of framing accessibility in the lens of this needs to be done, building empathy has allowed us to move forward with putting our student needs at the forefront of course planning with the idea that this is the right thing to do. We have found that some of the best ways to learn about accessibility were by listening and having one-on-one conversations about accessibility. This was a comfortable way for our peers to ask for suggestions and share some roadblocks in the process.
The Communication Department formed a committee working towards accessibility. We serve on this committee as well as on a university-wide accessibility committee. This made it easier to build relationships and connections on campus. Many of these departments were already working on accessibility. By tapping into their resources, we were able to amplify their efforts and bring attention to the resources already available to better serve both our faculty and students. A few more initiatives that we are continuing to develop within our department and the university at large are included here. We're focused on developing a department-wide statement that would live on our website, as well as a hands-on workshop for faculty. Another step we took to nudge our colleagues toward creating accessible content was by creating incentives for faculty to make their course content as accessible as possible. We developed an online workshop for the Communication Department faculty to complete. While it is not required, we have created the workshop to be an independent process for faculty to work through as they have time. After the faculty members have worked through their independent asynchronous workshop, they will receive this certificate of completion. This certificate is a tool for faculty to also show use of evidence of effective teaching for annual evaluations.
Here are a few resources to share with your own faculty, staff, and administrators in order to make your course content a little bit more accessible. This is not meant to be an exhaustive list, rather a starting point for what you can do. Technology used in accessibility can sometimes be incredibly overwhelming, so we have broken this down into 3 levels to help you feel most comfortable when it comes to implementing these. At a minimum, here are a few things that you can do to create accessible course content. Alongside using alt text, which are alternative descriptions for images, there are also a number of tools already embedded into things like Microsoft Office, as well as Google and Adobe products. So anytime you're making presentations or documents in any of these software or programs, it's best to check whether or not your content is accessible through those platform checkers. Step 2 or level 2 is including things like captioning as well as audio descriptions for video or other multimedia presentations that you are making. Social media tools like Instagram and TikTok recently released live captioning services. So you can actually create videos on these platforms, download them, and then distribute those for students to use. Audio descriptions differ slightly from captioning and provide a way for blind students to experience videos by having a separate voiceover track that describes what is happening. Udescribe is a crowdsourced platform that creates audio descriptions for YouTube videos, and it's an easy way to find audio described videos without having to do them for yourself. The third level of engagement that you can have with creating accessible course content is to actually read through the rules that govern accessibility for the web. Wcag, or WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, provides and is the governing body for all things accessibility on the web. Reading through their documentation is a really important way to help you understand what kind of recommendations they have for creating accessible course content. These recommendations change over time, so having a supportive community is important in maintaining your commitment to accessible course content. And we've also included additional resources linked with this presentation. And there you will find resources like color blindness simulators to check whether or not you have enough contrast in the presentations or documents that you're creating, as well as other tutorials and tips for creating accessible documents. Thanks for attending our virtual presentation. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you have questions about what we presented or general questions about accessibility. Thanks.